Ubisoft, you take 2 steps forward and then 10 big leaps back. When will you learn? Apparently not today. Hey guys, Icewire here, and today I wasn't really planning on making a video. It's my rest day and I was planning on prepping a Resident Evil 2 video to go up. However, some interesting Assassin's Creed Odyssey news has caught my attention and I need to take a moment to talk about it because yikes. Assassin's Creed Odyssey director says we missed the mark with controversial DLC relationship. Oh boy, let's get into it, shall we? A day after apologising for surprising Assassin's Creed Odyssey players with a mandatory in-game relationship that seemed to contradict the game's pre-release promise to let players define their character's own sexuality, the game's creative director offered a fuller apology and explanation of what his team was trying to accomplish and what they got wrong. Reading through player responses to our new DLC for Legacy of the First Blade, Shadow Heritage, we want to extend an apology to players disappointed by a relationship your character partakes in, Odyssey creative director Jonathan Dumont said in a post on the game's forums. The intention of this story was to explain how your character's bloodline has a lasting impact on the assassins, but looking through your responses, it is clear that we missed the mark. I mean, yeah, you kinda did. Because you see what happens when you promise a video game with the intention of it completely being revolved around player choice and letting the player choose whatever they want to do, whether it be directions to take in a mission or who they want to bang, you know. When you promise the freedom to do all that shit and then completely contradict it, doing that is how you definitely miss the mark. Anyway, let's continue with this. He went on to say that players will not have to continue the romantic relationship in the next installment of the game's DLC, saying that developers wanted players to have the option of deciding that their character choice to procreate was a utilitarian decision rather than a romantic one. So, spoiler alert. If you haven't played this DLC, basically at the end of this DLC, whoever you're playing as, whether it be Alexios or Cassandra, if you're playing as Alexios, they will decide to enter a relationship with the daughter of the proto-assassin Darius, or son if you're Cassandra. And eventually your chosen character to play as and their new love interest have a child together. Which, okay, let's unpack this. Let me give my opinion here. So this new DLC completely overrides any relationship you had in the base game, retconning your choice and putting you into a relationship with specific characters, even if you don't pick any romance options. Which is just ridiculous when you consider the fact that a big part of AC Odyssey's promotional marketing is the freedom of choice to carve your own path in the story you take part in, whether you play as Alexios or Cassandra. So obviously a lot of the outrage from this comes from a lot of, players that chose to play the game as a non-straight Alexios or Cassandra. And their anger is pretty valid. I mean, like I said earlier, when you promote a game with the intention of, player choice and having the freedom to make your own decisions and pick who you want to romance and everything, in this happening, of course it's going to cause some drama, even if you're not, if you're not straight. Of course it's going to piss people off. Now, as we read earlier, the general excuse Ubisoft is going with here for the reasoning behind all of this is that Cassandra / Alexios realise how important they are and want to keep the lineage alive, which, considering where the future goes with future assassins to come, in theory, I get it. In theory. However, the execution is really, really poor, and it feels like a slapped-on ending to this DLC. I remember back when AC Odyssey was first announced and Ubisoft was really hammering home that this would be a different Assassin's Creed experience from what we're used to, introducing RPG elements and player choice to the franchise. One of those choices being whether you can romance somebody or not. The game has been well received from critics and fans. Cassandra is even a fan favourite among players, and her voice actress was even nominated for Best Performance at last year's Game Awards. All of that in mind, it's been feeling like the series is finally going in a good direction with a new lease of life, and this whole debacle is just a huge step back. I recently came across this artwork, which I feel like expresses a lot of people's opinions, because how do you miss it? How does it completely like go over your head during development? If you have a diverse group of people working on a video game, you think one of them would have, you know, put their hand up and be like, this is probably not cool to put in the game. Yeah, maybe we should just put it in the bin for now, or like redo it. You know, just now there has been a few interesting fan responses to this, which I want to get into because some of them I share the same overall thoughts with, so let's have a looky. First one comes from Death to the Emperor over on the Assassin's Creed subreddit. I appreciate the response and apology, but I'm still flabbergasted that dozens of people worked on this and it never occurred to any of them what a huge, obvious problem this would become. Honestly, I would love to hear what happened in the design meeting when it was decided that the player would be railroaded into a relationship and forced to become a parent. I would love to know who thought this was a great idea that the fans would enjoy. To which someone else replied, I agree. How did none of the supposed LGBTQ members of the dev team say, hang on a minute. Just hang on a minute. I agree with it entirely. How does that completely go over your head when you're writing out a storyline like this? Like I said earlier, in theory, I completely get why they'd want to somehow, you know, continue the lineage with the Assassins, because, I mean, considering where the franchise goes with Ezio and all of those folks, the Kenways, you know, I get it. But this just feels really badly executed. It's like no one there at all thought, I wonder if people will be very upset when we railroad them into a relationship without them having a say in it and forcing their character to become a parent. Surely people won't mind that the character that they've developed a bond with over hours of playing the game will eventually become a parent, whether they're gay or lesbian. Surely not. No one's going to be angry about that at all. Now, this next comment does bring up a very good point as well, so I want to include it too. I can't pronounce this person's username, but they did say they might have, but the LGBT community wasn't a bigger priority than the story they wanted to tell. Cassandra not having a child was never on the table. Notice how they don't apologize for it. They apologize for the relationship, which is a very good point. They only apologize for putting your character into a relationship. They don't necessarily apologize for forcing Cassandra or Alexios to become parents. Now obviously with Assassin's Creed, the focus is definitely not sexuality. This is coming from a bi woman. Like, when I play Assassin's Creed, I don't give a fuck about what sexuality my character is. That's not even remotely what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the story I'm playing, the assassin who I'm playing as, and just the world and history of said world that I'm about to be thrust into. Sexuality is completely like, don't give a fuck. That being said, it's also cool that, you know, you can choose to go into a romantic relationship if you want to, but it's not the biggest priority, if you get what I mean. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. Like, if I was playing this game, that wouldn't be my main priority. I've followed Ubisoft's bullshit for many moons now, since the whole debacle with Assassin's Creed Unity back in the day, and the really bad condition that game was released in, and the whole can't render a titty thing. But we don't have time to unpack all of that. Overall, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is definitely the breath of fresh air that this franchise needed. However, this whole mess it's like taking one big old leap forward and then taking a giant leap back in terms of like progress as a company. I don't know, I'm very disappointed and slightly morbidly amused by this all. Anyway, I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of all of this? Do you think it's stupid? What's your opinion? Because I'd love to hear it. Consider supporting me on Patreon, as it feels to grow for my content's quality and the variety and production of said content that you guys get to see all here on the channel. And of course, a massive thank you to my current patrons, of course. They are Cosmoronic, Nicholas Montoya, Caroline Richardson, Quilladora, and Kay. And if you want to see your name shouted out at the end of the video like these guys, do hop over onto Patreon and have a look around at the cool rewards on offer. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is Icewire signing off, and I'll see you in 2 minutes later next time on the channel. Have a lovely day / night with your art in the world, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!